right? Okay, welcome to week 4, class 10, Danita Art, watercolor portraits, dreamy watercolor portraits. Thank you, Danita, for doing this. We're so excited that you're teaching. And it's going to be great. So we can't wait to see how she teaches you how to draw this face and some amazing watercolor techniques. So Danny, letting you take it away, all right? I'm leaving you. Just kidding. I'm not leaving you. Don't worry.
No, don't leave me. Okay, so welcome everybody. Can you hear me? I hope so.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So welcome. I know many people are new to watercolor, and there are some people that are really scared of watercolors because they say that watercolors do whatever they want and know what you want them to do. But I will show you that is not true, just a tiny bit. So they kind of have a life of their own, but you can like make them do what they want to do in the space that you designed them to do. So the things that you get in your kit are the new paints and the paper. And what I do every time that I get a new set is that I take it out, I leave that there, and then you just move these things, the metal things, and take them out. And then press really hard. So when you put them back again, they stay in place because sometimes they kind of loose and move around. So when you do that, just press hard there. And then they come with numbers and names. And that's really important because you get a tiny piece of paper when you are going to do your swatches. And sometimes we love the colors that came there and use just one a lot or two, and we want to replace them. And that's where this come in handy because you know exactly which one to get.
Can you tell us again, Danny? So what did you mean by press hard? So you have to bend the little metal piece out?
A little bit more because, let's see, can you see how they move? And when you're painting, sometimes you take your brush and put it there, and if it moves, it gets like I don't know,
muddy.
No, it bothers you to being moved like this.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you get on the rhythm of painting, sometimes you don't even think, and you put your hand, take the pigment and bring it here or to your palette. And if it moves, you can take another one. And also because these are going to be wet, and the purpose of these little palettes is that you can move them around. So if they're loose, they can come out and make a mess in your palette. So I just do that in any brand. They all come like this, like a little bit loose, and I just press a little bit more. So when I put them back, they're like stay there.
So you're saying you bend the metal part in more?
Yes.
Okay.
Just a little bit, not much because you can break them, but just enough so when you put them there,
they stay put.
They stay in their place.
Okay.
See, they don't move at all. So you open that, and they come wrapped like tiny gifts. You open it, put it there. Make sure it doesn't move, and you're ready. And you just do that with the whole set. And make sure that they're in order. The same way that you unwrap them, put them back.
How do you get it to not move? Mine's still sliding.
Just press a little bit more.
Okay.
They're going to move a little bit, but when they're all together, they like kind of stay there.
Okay. Let's try this before we get irritated, Terry. Okay, everybody unwrap your candy.
Yay.
And it does have a number on the outside of the little tray, so that's great.
Yeah, because with the ones that don't have that, I use a permanent marker and write it on the pan.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's really a bummer when you're trying to get a color and you just don't know which one or what brand it was, what color. And
Yeah.
even if you swatch it, you're never sure. So that will.
Okay, and what drew you to this set, these colors?
Oh, the colors, I just love each of those. And I know that these are pre-mixed colors, so you won't be able to do many more mixes from them, like in a basic set when you have your blue, red, and yellow. But the colors that you get are so beautiful that you don't need to like do much with them. Just
Okay.
straight from the pan.
Oh, I see what you're saying. They're already, you don't need to blend two colors together to get another color.
Yeah, the information comes here. It says which pigments it has. And if you notice, most of them are a combination of two, even three. So that means that this color was made out of this one special 3 colors. So that will be a tertiary color in the color wheel. This one is 1, 2. This one is 2 colors again. That will be a secondary, a mix of 2 of the first ones. So you get this. And I always make a swatch with all the colors. But I also make my own with the paper that I'm going to be using because it makes a huge difference. I don't know if you can see the detail. Like this color, the 104 here, in the paper we're going to use behaves differently than in the paper that comes with the palette.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, in watercolors, the most important thing, the one that is going to make the most difference is not the paint or the brush, but the paper. So
Okay.
you want to try the colors on the paper that you're going to use, because sometimes you're like, oh, wow, this is beautiful and I love what it does here. And when you're using it on your actual painting, it doesn't behave like that. Like I wanted to show you the number 100, Earth. I'm not sure if you can see it in the screen, but when you swatch it, you are going to see it live. So in this particular paper that it looks more like a hot press or a mixed media paper, you get a green brown. And when you put it in the paper we're going to use, you get like an ochre yellow.
Okay.
And also there's another thing that is a property, yes, of watercolors, and is that there are some that granulate and there are some that don't. And you bring the most of that when you use a paper that has certain texture. And you can see it here too. Like 107, it doesn't granulate in here or here. Barely does it. But if you see 106, that is awake, and you see it in the paper that we're going to be using, you see all those tiny dots of pigment?
Oh, okay. Can you hold it up closer?
No, let's see, there.
Okay.
See? Maybe in the screen you won't see it much, but we're going to do the swatches and you're going to see it live to see the difference. And that's really important when you're painting. And it will teach you also when you look at somebody else's work and you see like there are some things, you start looking at it and you say, okay, that's a pigment that granulates, and that is a pigment that doesn't, and that one is a pigment. There are some that leave a really hard edge, and there are some that leave like how do I say, very soft edge, and all that you learn it by swatching your colors.
Okay, good to know. So important. You got to swatch.
Really. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does
So when you get,
everyone have your candy open? Yes, it is great info. Thank you, Danny.
you're welcome.
Okay.
What I do is that I put clean water on them and let them sit a bit, a minute or two, so they get the moisture. Because if you just put water or put your brush and try to remove the pigment, they take a little bit and you won't see the real color if you just take the brush and instantly apply it on your paper. So let them sit like that. Another tip that I can give you is that I always put a little bit of, this is a kitchen sponge, and I put it there. And I also have one on hand here. It's like having paper. I also use paper towels, but this is reusable, and I actually clean it like once a month. I just shape my brush in there to make the point or remove the excess water, because watercolor is all about controlling the water. So I will dip it in water. You will see me do that a lot. Dip it in water, remove water, dip it, remove. And sometimes you wonder, like, she just dip it and then remove and dip it again. You start getting a feeling of how much water you want. So sometimes I remove and I feel that is, even in the shape, if it moves a lot, it's because I remove a lot of water. So I do it again until I get the feeling and I know that it's right. So I'm going to move this to the side. And what you do when you swatch is you need clean water. I usually keep 2 containers of water. One is clean and the other is going to be dirty at the end. So I use clean water and I put it on the side. Do 3 at a time because it dries so fast sometimes. So you want to take the first pigment, put it there, and see the full strength. So that will be the darker you can go. And then move it to the side and make touch that clean water and just leave it there to dry. And then you clean your brush really well and do it with the second one. And try to make it move until it touches the water.
They're asking where you buy these paints. So I just want you to know, Prima does have an art philosophy website, and you do have a coupon code for that. So if you are not getting our emails with the coupon, with the information about the classes and the coupon codes, please check your spam. You might try adding us to your contacts. info@charitywings.org or elena@charitywings.org. And so Prima does have a website where you can buy these, and it's on your coupon list. I think it's artphilosophy.com, but I could be wrong. So someone might want to check that.
Okay, it made me first mistake of the of the class. And I apply a pigment there that wasn't supposed to be there. If you do that, you quickly apply water and just with a clean towel, put it there and leave. Do not scrub. Watercolor paper is very delicate. If you scrub, you're going to remove and ruin the paper. Same when you're painting. And there's another thing about watercolors, and is that there are some that stain and there are some that do not stain. That means that a pigment that stains will leave a mark even if you remove all you can. And there are some that you just remove them and it's like you never put a color on your paper. If it doesn't move, excuse me?
Mindy said, I'm getting full squares of paint. What am I doing wrong?
Full what, sorry?
Full squares of paint, like she's not getting variation.
Because first you apply the water on one side, just water. And then you apply the color here on one edge. A lot of pigment there. So you have the darkest. And then you try to bring some of that clean water to one side and some of that pigment to the other. There are pigments that like to travel towards the water, and there are some that like to retract. So if you
Okay, are you guys hearing Danita and not me? Or are you hearing me and not Danita?
She's frozen.
Okay, Danita's frozen, only me. Okay. Hang on, let me let her. Oh, Denny. I can see you on your other camera, but your bottom camera is frozen. Your camera on your project is frozen. There you go. I can see you now. Okay, it's working now. Go ahead. Turn it on again. Turn on your project camera again. Okay, yep. And it's not on land. Now it's not turning. Can you put it back up and there you go, right there. Perfect. But that one is muted. So I need you to unmute one of you. Okay. Go ahead and talk. Yep, perfect.
okay.
We're good.
I don't know what happened, but we're back.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know at which point it ended the
No,
transmission.
you were talking about how the paint will either migrate towards the water or not.
Or away. Okay, so you make her move towards the water. Let's see, it's this one. So you put the pigment there. And if it doesn't want to move, you just move, but just the edge. Because if you move the whole thing, you are bringing all the pigment. You won't have that different value in your color.
If someone did get the color in just one big block, you can blot it and start over, right?
Yes, like let me do it here. You just put water, leave it there just a couple of seconds, and then blot it. And just do it again. It's actually a lot easier to correct the same color than to make a correction if you use another color like I did here. Just don't let it dry. See, and you can correct it. Just remember, it's a lot of water on one side.
And they will change as they
Pigment.
dry, right?
Yes.
Look different as they dry.
Watercolor changes depending on how much you apply on the paper you apply it. If it has water next, it's kind of that's the beauty of it. I find it fascinating, all the things that you can do, but that's some of the things that people hate about watercolors. But once you know how to control the outcome and accept that there are just so much you can do and the rest is just let it do its thing, that's when the beauty happens. And the last. You're also going to notice that there are some pigments that are really powerful. Are you there?
I'm here. So you know
Oh.
what I'm thinking, Danny?
Yes.
Maybe we have you just do one camera for the
Mhm.
project. Maybe your bandwidth is pulling, having both devices on the internet
I
because
think
it's
so.
a little bit choppy sometimes.
Yeah, so we just focus on this one, and when
Yes.
we're done and you have questions, I'll turn on the other one. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
So
See you later.
okay, thanks. Okay, Regina, we are using either you can use the size 12 that was in Jaya's class, or you can use the size 6 that came in your goodie bag, or if you have other sizes. Danita's using a size 10.
Yes, this is a 10, and I have a 6 here, and I also have a tiny one here, but this is an old Prima one, so I'm not sure what size it is. But
And
it's
they're
really
asking if they should be making a palette on the paper we're using. So you're going to do both, right?
Yes, I'm just showing you what I do with all my colors all the time, just as they come. And then we are going to do our own. That is something like this. So you see the difference. The more you know about your colors, the best you can manipulate them to do what you want them to do. So I'm done with this one. I'm to put it aside. Make sure that it's flat when it dries because it can rip. And this is our paper, and this is a cold press paper. And it's really different than the one we have here. This one seems like a Bristol paper, or there's a hot press paper that you can use in watercolors that most of the people either loves it or hate it, because any little change you do in your brush, every tiny detail that you do will be shown. So you can use that in your advantage. But if you're a beginner, or if you're not that I don't know, perfectionist in your work, you will do better to stay away from this kind of paper and get some like the cold press paper. Also, if you like, there's another is called rough paper. That will be a lot better because it brings more the texture of the colors like I show you here. So we are going to be doing some exercises before starting the painting. So we are going to get one of the sheets of paper. I usually cut one piece out of a corner. And if I were doing, let's say, the painting here, like vertical and not taking the whole square, what I do is that I take this part and here I'm testing my paints as I go. I do it a lot with pieces of paper, but you have to make sure that it's the same paper that you're using. Because if I will take one of these pieces, I don't know if it's showing well, but it's not even the same color as the paper I'm working on. So whatever I get here, I won't get it here. So it's important that you take a piece of the paper that you're working on and use that. So if you want to work on your piece here, just to try it. Or this has a lot of pieces. I think it's 20 sheets. So you can use one just to play with and feel free to ruin things.
Danny,
We are going to, yes?
on the opening night, you had a color grid that you did. Do you have that? I'd
Yes.
love to see it. Are we gonna make
I
that?
have it here.
Ooh.
No, we're not going to make that because that takes hours, but I'm going to show you how to do it.
Okay.
And there's also, you can download it from the page when the class is,
Did you
and you
give
can
this,
see it.
did you give this to us?
Sorry?
Did you give this to me to download for them?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Then it should be in your downloads.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to show you how to do it. But if we do it, we won't be able to paint. It takes a while because it's not hard to do, but it takes a lot of time. So we'll go over this one in a moment. But first, we're going to see the difference between this and this. And what I do is that I measure in a corner. You want to do it very precise and measure and everything. It's okay. I just do it quickly here. So I know that size fits inside my paints. And I keep there for reference this one. And if I'm going to be using this paper, and I know that's my regular paper, I just keep it there. If you use different papers all the time, you might want to do that on a journal and just keep the reference there and write in the back that this is the Prima paper and so on. So what I do is that I kind of divide this. This is 6 and 6. And I know it's more or less. You take your time and do it prettier. And we're going to do the same, but this time here you can do them bigger because this is twice the size. But here what I do is that I make the vertical swatches. And I do the same. I put the water there, take my pigment and put it on top. And when you do that, you are going to see the difference immediately, even in the way that the paper feels in your brush. It's very different that it feels like here. And always make sure that the pigments don't touch each other when you're doing swatches or the water. Here it feels more rough or rougher. You can even listen to it when you're applying the paint. From time to time, depending on where you are, they might dry really quick, just add more to them, but not too much. Because if you add a lot of water, you dilute them. Then you won't be able to see the real color. Here, the paper towel, there's a drop of green there. So you just remove it and try to move the pigment again. Can you see that? That touched the other, it's not the pigment, but the water that was there and it's trying to move. And this one, I don't know if you can see really well, but this one doesn't like to move. This one is spread all the way. So that's an important thing to notice too in your pigments. Are you still there? Elena, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, sorry. It gets so quiet and I'm like, oh,
I know,
is this
I
still
know. I'm
working?
Okay, I'm making my lunch.
Oh, that's
I
why.
didn't get any time between, so I'm just trying to quickly make something. But they're asking about the grid, but I think you got it all covered there. I love
Yes.
it. Definitely. So when it dries, you're going to see a lot of difference between the two papers, huh?
Even right now, as I'm looking at them, they
Mhm.
look very different. And this is the one that I already did with the other set, and this is the one that we just made. You maybe not on camera, but when you're doing it live, you are going to see a world of difference. And don't forget that pigments change a lot when they're wet than when they're dry. So we're going to leave them a bit to dry. And meanwhile, I'm going to explain another concepts in watercolor.
So are you guys seeing the difference in the colors on the papers? Would love to know if you can see the difference.
And how they move.
I love
How-
watching watercolor move.
Oh, me too.
So cool.
Sometimes when I don't know what to do or I'm feeling like really anxious, I just come and take watercolor and put it on the paper
Mhm.
with no plan and just swatches and just combine two and watch them move. And it really helps me calm down.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, because sometimes you come and you want to end up with a finished piece of art. And there are some days that just that's like out of the question. I cannot do it. Everything turns out wrong. Even if I'm like if I already had the intention, but if not in the mood, like I just do that until I calm down and then I do the whatever I wanted to do and it turns out okay.
You needed a warm up.
Yeah. And like a tranquilizer, something to calm you down. Yeah.
Oh, your little watercolor tranquilizer.
Yeah.
So you're not overdoing it, you know.
Yeah.
That's great.
So
Jill said that 103 and 104 look very similar to me.
103. No.
103 and 104. She said
Let
that
me
it's
see if I can take a, maybe the show is better. This is like a turquoise and this is green. Like a pine tree green.
yeah, 104 is
Do you
definitely
see?
more green.
Mhm. And the yellows are very different too, and they mix really different.
Love it.
Mhm. The only thing I wish I had in this palette is a red.
Like a real red.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's a lot of blue, earth green.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have a little bit of trouble trying to find one for the lips, but this one do it really well. It looks very natural, but it's not my usual red, so I had to try and test. And that's where this comes in hand. And this one is the other thing that I do with all my palettes. And there are some, this is easy because it's just 12 by 12, but there are some that are 24 or even 36. And that's a lot to swatch. So you end up with tiny little swatches. I like this one because you can see them better. And it's very convenient because the paper is 12 by 12 and you have 12 colors here. So you just divide this piece of paper in 12 inches and then 12 here and make this the grid. I do it with pencil very lightly. I don't use red for this. I just use the regular graphite. And then what you do is that you put the first color here in here and you start mixing it to the side with the next. Like this here will be a combination of 97 and 98. And this one here will be 97 plus 99. And I combine them and apply directly. And then I add a lot of water and paint the other side. So I have like the two sides, the dark and the light. And you can go very dark in this part and you can go very light depending on how much pigment you apply and how much water you apply to this. And you just keep doing it. It's not hard at all, it's just more tedious is making the upper part because you have to mix everything and then clean up your palette and mix the rest. But at this point, you just have to do like 4 mixes, 3, 2, 1, and here you don't even mix anything, it's just the straight color because all the mixes you do them previously over there. And this is really good when you're trying to come up, let's see, with things like a skin color or the color for the cheeks or the eyes, the hair. If you see this one, let's see, and you're going to see it when we start painting, those are not straight colors that you just take from here and apply. They're all mixes. The only parts when I took some colors straight from the palette is on the birds. And even on them, there are many mixes. And I added color on some of them and I tried them to bleed. The color is again a combination. This color, you won't find it here, but you will find it here. And you just want to take a look at it and like, I'm looking for a purple and you don't have purple here. You can start mixing until you find the right one, or you just can take a quick look at this and see like, okay, I'm looking for this color, 97 plus 107, and you do it quick. So that's a very good reference that you would like to use when you're painting. And I do that for my palettes. And when I'm going to paint, I try to bring it and do it. And I don't do it, I use a lot of different kind of papers. So as I mentioned, there are palettes that have a lot of colors, so it will take me a lot to make a reference chart for each of my papers. But I kind of have the idea when I look at it, and when I mix it and try it on the paper that I'm using, I know if that's what I'm looking for. So that's really useful. And you can download this one. And now that you know how to make it, you can make your own. And it will help you a lot. And I recommend that you do it for all the colors that you have, especially if you have a palette that is like a more like a mixing palette when you have your basic colors. I think if you took the other class, the other watercolor class, it comes with a palette like that, right?
Yes, the other class has like a brighter palette.
Mm-hmm. Like a more pure pigments.
Yes. So I don't think, Danny, somehow I missed an email or something. I don't know why, but I didn't see the grid. So I will get a link to it for you guys after the class. They're asking if you have a favorite paper.
I do. And it's a handmade paper that I just got, and it's really thick. Let me see. Hold on. It's handmade, and I love the edges. How do you call that? Decal edges?
The decal, yeah.
Yeah, when it's not straight.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is really coarse. Let's see.
Oh yeah, it's really textured.
Yeah, so it's really hard to control because the paint tends to try to go everywhere when you apply it. So you want to do a detail like in the face, and the paint goes like everywhere. It's like a tiny, I compare it with when you put something in a container like this and you see that the water stays there. But if you made a hole in the earth and you put water, it tries to go everywhere.
Mhm.
So paper is like that. When it doesn't have those like rough things, like little canals, miniature canals, if it has it, it's going to try to go those places. And if it's like this one, it will stay exactly where you put it. So that's my favorite. And I also like a lot, let's see if I have one here. Just give me a minute.
When did you make that little fox scene? Is that on your Etsy?
That one?
Mhm.
I haven't posted yet. I usually do them and then take pictures and then start posting the process. And at the end, I post it for sale. But if anybody's,
Does she have
huh?
bunny ears? Is that a bunny?
Yes, with foxes.
Only one bunny?
Mhm. Yeah, the rest are normal people.
Not mutant bunny people.
Just that one.
I love it. It's beautiful.
Okay, are you done with this one?
Yes.
Very good. So now I'm going to explain some concepts in watercolor, and it's all about how to try to control the pigments that you have. And there are some techniques that are called dry on dry, wet on wet, and dry on wet. And that means that you apply, when they say dry, it's because you take pigment from your palette and apply it on paper. And when they say wet, it's because you add water either to the pigment or to the paper. You always start with a damp brush, not a soaked brush. You always put it in water and remove a bit. And then let's do it with, I think blue will be the one that you see the best on camera. So that will be the 107 I'm going to use for the demo. And that's a lot of water. So I'm going to remove some. And you can do some texture with your brush. And as you can see, you don't get that wet effect that you get with watercolors like this when we use water. So that will be dry on dry. But then if I use the same pigment and I apply water previously here, and I put it there, you get a stain like that. So that's the first variation. And then we can do wet on wet. For that, we apply clean water. And then we add the pigment to that water. And can you see how it moves? It will try to pull everywhere. You can put dots there and it won't stay where you put it. If I do that here, dry on dry, and I put a dot, it will stay like that. If I put it here in water, it's the same dot and the same amount of pigment. And you can also do that if you first apply another color. So the first layer can be a wet layer of a pigment. And then on top, you apply the other one. And keep in mind that when you're doing that, the pigment will be very diluted. You will end up with a color more like the one on this side than this. And here is a straight color from the palette to the paper, so you will get the darker one. So when we're painting, For example, the face. You will see that we are going to use a lot of this. So we building layer upon layer instead of just going straight like that. This is a technique that you might prefer when painting something like a face. And then the other one, to apply the paint, but you have to let that dry before doing anything else to it. So I'm going to use my heat gun. Sorry for the sound.
Danita, Zoom is so cool because it actually cancels out that noise of the heat gun.
Sorry?
Yeah, like we can't hear your heat gun. It's so weird. It has some crazy magic noise cancelings.
Really?
Yeah, we can't hear it.
Ooh, okay. That's perfect because it will sound awful. So that is dry, and I know because if you don't want to touch it, you're not sure if it's dry, you just look at it, and if it doesn't shine at all, it's dry. Then you can touch it. It is dry. So now I can use, let's try yellow again. And you can put another pigment on top. And that will be wet on dry. And you can do many combinations like that. So those are the techniques that we are going to use most, like here on the face. We're going to be doing washes, and on top of them, we're going to apply paint and then let them dry. That will be something like this, and then go back with more paint. When you look at a painting really close, a watercolor, you will see many of those variations. And you start looking like, okay, there's green there. And then there's another color there. And here it bled. And here you apply another layer. And here's one, here's another, and another. And you build layer upon layer. It's not the same like in the hair. What I did in the hair was a combination, like just grabbing a lot of pigment and put it first on water. That will be something like this. And once I have like a base, I started adding more once it's dry. So we're going to use something like that. And at the very end, we use this one that is dry on dry. When everything is dry and we want to add details, like this line on top of the eyes or the eyebrows, you see, you can see every movement of my brush there. And something like this. But instead of going with the whole thing, we just use the point to make the details. Before continuing and doing the painting, I want to show you another thing that is really important in watercolors, and that's transparencies. As you know, in watercolors, we don't add white to the paint to make it lighter. We add water, and the white is the white of our paper. So if we want, in acrylics, if you want a light color, you add white to it. And instead of having a red, you have a pink. Here, instead, what we do is add water. And a good exercise that you might want to try with your paints is try to do a tonal value. So you get the pigment. You can do it two ways. You can start from dark to light by using the full strength and then adding water to it, or you can start with the lightest possible volume. You can even go lighter than that. And to that one, start adding pigment. Whatever you find easier, just try to do at least minimum of 5. If you can do more, That will be better. And you add more pigment and more pigment. Or if you started from here, more water and more water. Like that one there will need more pigment. I may even put one here. So it can go on and on until it's almost, I don't have space there, but that's barely there. But if you, sometimes you want values as light as this one, sometimes you want them as dark as this one here. So you might want to try that with your color palette as well. And that's a good exercise for you to learn how to control the watercolor. That and the combinations. And also, as I show you this one, there are two ways to mix color on watercolor. And one is, I'll do it with these two that I have here. So you have the blue and you have the yellow, and you take them both, mix them here, and apply them. And they give you that color. But you can also mix in this way, that is adding one color, and then to that one that is already there, adding the other, and try them to mix. You won't get the same result. The idea of this one is that you see the both colors that make the other color. And then you can also do that. That is applying one, let it dry, and then applying the other. And it also won't give you the same color. Let me just dry them.
Isn't it so crazy that we can't hear your heat gun? It's such a
Yeah. That's so good, because I was thinking, oh, we're going to have to wait a lot, or I will have to go to another room and dry things up and come back because it sounds awful.
Nope.
But no, so that's perfect. So now I'm adding the yellow on top. And there you have the 4 different ways that you can mix colors in watercolor. And you can go crazy and mix 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But remember that when you have pigments like this, the more you mix, the more you will find out brown, because there are already so many. The purer the pigments, the more mixes you can make. And the other thing that I wanted to see before we go to the paint is this other thing we can do when, instead of mixing them like that, we apply the 2 colors and try them to mix in the middle. And that can give you some cool effects. And you keep both colors and you see the one that they mix in the middle. So we're going to do some of that on the hair, I think. So now that we saw that, what I will do if I were you is that I will take that out. And this paper that comes glue, you need something sharp. If you have nails, You can do it with that, or maybe a palette knife or a ruler. Just need something that is flat, so you can put it there. And lift it. And you just take the other one. And you want to keep that on the side for reference. What I do is that I cut that part like I did here, and I write the numbers. And this is the one that I'm going to be keeping for reference for the painting, because this is the paper that we're going to be using. So at the end of the class, I can take a picture of this, a good picture, and send it to Elena so she can put it on the downloadable things on the page, so you can see it closer and better. So now it's time for painting. Are you still there?
I'm here.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so quiet.
It's weird, right?
Yeah, I feel like I'm talking to myself and like, yes, I understand what you said,
I
but I'm
know.
not sure if you did.
I know. That's why I tell people, I'm like, you probably want me to be on with you just so you're not talking to yourself for 3.5 hours.
Yeah, please.
Um,
You say,
yes,
yes.
I'm just trying to help some people that were confused. I sent out an email and I did a typo, and now people are confused about the class. So
Okay.
yeah, no, I'm
So-
here. We're here. I'll let you know. Don't worry. I will find you.
Okay. Any questions up to here?
Then are you guys following along? I know it's so, I mean, this is such great information, Danny. I didn't know you were going to get this into the technical side, but it makes total sense. You kind of need to in order for them to have a jumping off point. If you are a watercolor artist, you probably already know all these things, but anyone that's not, this is really great. Really great. Are you guys ready to go forward? Enough warm-ups? Yeah, why don't you go ahead? They said this is very helpful. Ariana speaking in Spanish. I don't understand your Spanish talk. Just kidding. Let me see. What does she say? Como Talia me oyen, me escuchan. Escuchan.
Escuchan.
Como como Thalia. What does that mean?
Oh, ¿me oye? ¿Me escucha? ¿Me siente? Yeah.
Okay. See, it sounds
She
like
will get that.
out of you. Okay.
I'm sorry. Since I turned off the other one, I cannot see the chat. So
yeah.
If you have questions, please put them in the chat and Elena ask me.
Yes, I will.
Mhm.
They said they're super grateful that you're teaching them this. It's really great, brand new and loving it. They're watching you. They're just mesmerized by your warm-up stuff. And then they ask, do you dry your brush off after rinsing?
No, I do the same that I do here. Do you want always to shape your brush like this? Let me do it closer. So I wash it and I try to remove the excess on the border of my cup. And then I do this movement and try to take it to a point again, and I just let it dry. And do not let it dry like this, because the water will travel to this part and they start getting, there's still a little bit of pigment there. So it will start getting there, and then you end up with a brush that looks like this. And then you ruin the point and there's no coming back to the original. So try to leave it to dry like that.
And you can split the wood and then bye-bye brush.
Exactly. You also, watercolor brushes are very delicate. You never want them on the water like this. Not even for the demo, I will do it. So let's do it with this one. You don't want them like that on your water. You don't want any brush like that, but especially the watercolors one, they ruin so easily. And as you were going to see, you can do all the painting with just one brush with a good point. So if you ruin the point, you can still use it, but not for any detail. So it's better to keep them in good shape.
Julie's asking if you wipe off your brush on the sponge before you dip in the color, but I think that depends on which technique you're doing, right?
And also how much water I took. Sometimes I put it there and it's a lot of water and I remove some and dip it there. Sometimes, like here, for example, this one is almost dry, but this one has a lot of water. So if I have water here and I take there, I will get a very dilute paint. But if I don't have any water on my brush and I take from there, see, you didn't take much. So it depends on the water on your pants and on the water on your brush. That's a feeling that you're going to get the more you paint. Then it becomes automatic. You don't even have to think about it. It's even the weight or the brush will tell you if it's a lot of water there.
Very cool. Are you guys ready to get started? So
Okay.
you know, I let Devin's hair grow so I could cut it to make paintbrushes.
Oh, cool. Have
Yeah.
you done them?
No, because I have to send it to Taiwan and I'm scared to send anything right now because, you know, I don't want them to get lost. So I'm just going to wait until someone goes back and they'll take it for me. But
Okay.
pretty cool, huh? Making
Yeah, show us.
baby's hair. I will.
Yeah.
All right, I think they're ready.
Are you ready? So for the ones that are doing their own thing, I recommend that you do the sketch in regular paper or in your sketchbook, but not here. Watercolor paper, as I said at the beginning, is very delicate. I'm going to use this one as an example. Like you do this. Sometimes we have a very heavy hand, and when we draw, we leave an indent on the paper. And then if you try to erase it, we do this, right? And the lines are still there, but not only the lines, but the holes that we make. So if we apply paint there, let's see. It will pull. I hope you can see it. It will pull there. Let me do it with a. Can you see the line? Or maybe if I do it with a lighter color.
What are you trying to show?
That you, what's the word? It's not ruin, but you damage the paper.
Right. Yes.
When you erase. So I erase my lines and they're still there. And even the ones that are not very noticeable, you still will get more pigment there. And maybe here it doesn't matter. Maybe in the hair, it's even like a cool effect, but you don't want that line there, for example, or this one. That's just for reference that you barely want it in your paper. The other thing is that each time that you erase, especially if you have a very hard erase, or like this one, did you see that it leaves a green mark? So the green comes from the eraser. So you want to mess the less possible with your paper before beginning to paint. So you want to do all the corrections and the drawing and I don't know, whatever is missing on here. And then when you're ready, you transfer whatever you do here to the paper and start working on it. For the people who wants to draw their own, please feel free to do it. The ones that download this one, we're going to have the same process. When you're done drawing your girl, then we're going to turn it. Let me just close this, and we are going to transfer it. There are several ways that you can transfer this. The first one is with a light table, it's called. The one that you turn like this one. But I don't have it connected. You just turn it on and it shines, so you can see whatever is there and copy it. But when your paper is like that, this one doesn't work. This just works for paper that is like this or here. But you want it to be on the block, because the more water you add, the more it starts to rub. So this helps you a lot. You want to keep the paper where it is until the end, until it's dry. Even when you're done, you leave it there. When it's dry, you remove it. So the other one that you can use is this. This is called saran paper, and it comes in red and I think also in black, but I don't like the black. I prefer the red, and you can use this a lot of times, over and over again. But that was an extra thing that you have to buy, and maybe this is the only time that you're going to use it. So the best way to do it is just the old way, that is to take a pencil. It can be a regular pencil, or it can be a red one. I prefer the red, even if I'm sketching. So I have a lot of red pencils. You just go color the lines. You can follow the lines, or you can just go wild and paint the whole thing. If you don't have a red, you can use just a regular pencil. It's okay. I think you can go a little bit heavier when the details are. Like in the face. Then you place it on your paper. Again, if you want it to be like a rectangle, like the one on the example in the page for the class, I did it like this, and I used this side for testing, or like this one when I place it in the middle, and I added more birds here and here. So that's up to you. If you want to add more birds, then you add them before you put it there. So maybe one there and one there. And these, if you notice, there are not like perfect birds, but you don't need them to be, you just need like the kind of a similar shape, because of the technique that we're going to apply. We're going to let the pigment run one towards the other. So they're not realistic birds. You just want the idea, kind of a ethereal thing that going through here. that will be enough. Oh, and also if you notice, I don't have one here, but I have here, and that's because when I was painting, I accidentally stained this part. So I did what you do in watercolors when you have an accident, and is that it is always better to try to cover it than to correct it, because it was this color, so it was really dark. So it was better to just add one there than to try to remove and damage the paper. So here we go. You can use a little bit of masking tape there or washi tape, or if you don't have that on hand, you can just do a tiny mark there, so you know where it was positioned in case that you move it accidentally and you're like, oh no, you just put it there again. And then you start tracing. And you check that it's transferring. See? Another tip that I can give you is try not to trace it exactly as I did it here. Try to get loose, to change it a little bit. So this is your guidelines, where the eyes are, where the nose is. And when you're transferring, like here on the eye, you can go heavy on these edges, but I make you some markings that are not so thick. Like this is very dark and these are not that dark. If you feel like you need that guidance, you can go over them, but very lightly, so you can barely see them. And if you feel like you can do it just with the paint, do not put them on the paper. They're just for you to see, like here where you are going to add the cheeks or this shadow over here. So they're not really necessary. And check regularly that is transferring. It has happened to me that I finish everything and then check and no, the thing was transferring. So especially with this paper, sometimes I put it this way. So instead of it transferring to the paper, I'm transferring to the back of my paper. So just check.
Okay, the questions here. So traces on my watercolor paper, was that wrong?
Excuse
You
me?
are, okay. Okay, wait, let's see. Barbara said, so the red pencil is working like carbon paper.
Yes. Instead of using the carbon paper, we're putting pigment on the back, and it's like you make a drawing with carbon paper on the back.
You could
And
also
it's red.
and you can do it with regular pencil as well. Just a number 2
Yes.
pencil works too.
An HB pencil, or you can even go softer, like 2B. It's okay. I don't like to go softer than that because it gives you a lot of the powder, loose powder, and it can stain your paper. And for transferring, I'm using a mechanical pencil because it have a sharper point, but you can also use the one, just a regular pencil. See? It just give you a thicker line when you're transferring. See? This that I use the regular pencil have a thicker line, and when I use the mechanical pencil, it's a thinner line. That's the only difference. If you don't have a mechanical pencil on hand and you want a thin line, you can use a needle or something sharp. But instead of using the needle like this one is a very thick one. You might want to use this. Gives you a very thin line. Just make sure that you don't scratch the paper. But just a regular pencil would work. Like here, for example, that I added the other bird, but I don't have any red there, so it's not transferring. And I don't want to add it with the pencil because it will show. So I just put a little bit more. And I transfer it there. And also be careful, like me, that I'm moving around and showing you. Sometimes you can transfer it just by rubbing with your hands. So be careful with that. Try to put your hand in one place and just do the whole thing and check without touching everything. You can also modify this. Maybe you want to do like you, Elena, maybe you want to add hearts instead of birds. So every place there's a bird, you can add a heart or something else.
Oh, you're so smart.
That way you can personalize it.
Personalize it and make it your own. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Or little unicorns.
Oh yeah. Or maybe you can add a horn there. Make her a unicorn.
Perfect. Like my dog.
If you are going to transfer that, just do it really lightly. So you have to lean and see it. There you can see the whole thing, but you can barely see the lines that I added there. Okay, I think that's good enough. And now if you have any of that red over there, instead of rubbing, you just try to take it off. I love kneaded erasers for that, but you can also do it with one of these very lightly. like barely touching the paper. And if it's really small, it's better to leave it there than to try to remove it. If I were doing this for me instead that for showing you, because I kind of want dark lines for you to see, I will go with another eraser and do this and try to remove as much pigment as I can. But since I want you to see what is there when I'm painting it, I'm going to leave it like this. So questions up to here?
Are we all traced? Everybody good? So if they're not tracing and they're drawing,
So if they're drawing, they have to trace their drawing after. We can wait a little bit if you want.
so if they're drawing, are you going to give them some tips? Oh, is there anyone that's trying to draw the picture themselves? You drew it. Go, Oriana. I love it. I cannot draw.
Yay.
I gave up. Terry gave up. You're so funny. Terry, that's not how you do it. I see you just plugging along. No birds, they creep me up. Oh,
Really?
okay, that's all right. You guys are making it your own. So go ahead. I think we can go forward.
Yes. You can put any motif there. I just wanted you to try different techniques. That's what I planned it this way. So you can see all the techniques that we see here applied to a painting. So that's, oh, while they're drawing, let me show you one more now that I remembered that one. It wasn't planned, but there are some hard edges like these ones. Can you see how hard they are? You know exactly that it ends there. Even in these that are very light, it has hard edges. So if you want to do a hard edge, you just put the paint in there and you let it dry. But sometimes you want soft edges, and you can do that two ways. One is if you take something that is dry like that. Now let me do another one. So when I send you the picture, you have all the techniques. Let me. And then you add water and try to move that around. There are some pigments that are better than others for this because there are some, I think I mentioned at the beginning, there are some that are staining and then there are some that are not staining. So the ones that are staining won't be as easy for this technique. And I think this one is staining because it's not moving the way I intended to. But that way you can kind of move the straight with this one. See, that one's a better example. What you do is that you add water, try to move the pigment and then remove that water. So it can kind of, instead of ending in a hard edge like this, it softens. And that's what we are going to do on the birds. So you don't have the birds exactly where you put them. And you can also do it. Let's see. You apply your color. And then with clean water, you add the water to the edges. And then remove the excess so it doesn't go and flows everywhere. So these are the other 3 techniques that we're going to try. So everybody is ready?
I think nobody's saying they're not, so let's go for it.
Okay, so I'm going to clean my palette because I have blue here. We are not going to be using blue until the end. So your palette comes with these 2 mixing trays here, but sometimes you will find that that's not enough. So if you have an extra palette, it's good to have it on hand. If not, you can always clean it and keep working on it. And I have my 2 containers of water. And I'm going to re-wet this because there are some that are already dry. And the first thing that we're going to do second, this comes really handy, is to work on the face. And we are going to do a wet on wet technique at the beginning. And I'm looking for a kind of light skin tone, not so much. So I go to this side and try to find one that I like for the base. Remember that when you use wet on wet, like we did here, the pigment goes really light. So don't be afraid. We are going to cover the face almost of all of it. You have to leave the inside of the eye. This is clean water. And the neck. Everything is going to be covered with water. And you don't want too much water that it pulls on the paint, but not too little that is barely there. So you know how much is enough if you move it around and you see that it's all shiny. Now you can see here. You can go a little bit over the edges here, so you don't end up with those hard edges here, because we are going to cover this with a very dark color, so it really doesn't matter. But here, for example, you want to go exactly where it is here too, because this will be a very light blue. And here I see that I like this one, for example, as my base. And this is 98 plus 106. 98 plus 106. And I use that to cover everything. Always have a piece of clean paper towel. I always have it. I'm right-handed, so I'm always having it in my left. So I can quickly remove paint where I don't want it or a mistake. So for example, here, this part and this on the top of your tip of your nose always have more light than this, for example, right under your eyes or here. So what I do is that I try to apply a little bit of water and just remove. And if you notice, I don't do this. I just put it there and lift. That's all I do. And I let it there.
Can you
So
repeat the
using
number again? 98 and what?
98 plus 105.
Thank you.
That was 98. That one. You can also use 106. Gives you a lighter color. Or this one is 106 plus 100. It gives you a color more like mine. So it depends how dark you want to go. If you want to paint a black person, you might want to go to this side because this is just the base. So you want maybe this one, 105 plus 103. And if you want more like an Asian person, you might want to go to a yellower tone. So maybe this one, 98 plus 102. That's why these are very good as a reference, especially if you're painting people or if you're painting landscape, it's also really useful because you see the things that are not really green and the grass of the trees are not really green and the mountains are not brown, but there are all these different shades, you may say. Here you can see this one will be also a good one. And then we're going to build on top. So if you are choosing this one, try to see it in the other side too, to see is that a color that you might want to show at the end. This is really, really, really light and it's the first thing that we're going to do. So next, let's see. This is dry already, so I'm going to apply a little bit more. Also, the mixture depends on how much you apply of each one. Here, you're supposed to mix the same amount of one color and the other. So if here you don't do that, you won't get those colors. You will get a little bit more, like if you were using this and you use more yellow than you use gray, your color won't be exactly like this. It will be a lot yellower. You can manipulate that. And you can test in a scrap piece of paper. I'm going to be using this one. I put it there and I test. And if I like, I use it. If I find that it's too dark, I add more water. If it's too yellow, I add more red. If it's too red, I add more yellow. You keep adjusting. So next, I'm going to apply a little bit of the shadows there. It's kind of an outline, but I won't leave it like that. I'm going to soften the edges.
What
Like
color are you using for the shadow?
It's the same one. I just make a darker mix.
Can you maybe zoom in a little bit so they can see
Yes.
a little more of the detail of where you're going?
Let me just, I don't want it to dry. Just
Yeah.
give me a second.
Okay. And maybe you can just talk through what you just did a little bit.
Yes. So I went, so if you see the reference image, it has some more drawing over there that is not supposed to be on the image. So when you see this, you don't see those lines, but you see the one in the eyelid and the mouth. So those are where I'm applying this dark. It's the same color that we just mixed, but it's just darker. And what I'm doing here is that I'm softening the edges like we just did in the example. So you don't end up with a harsh line right there. And it seems like if you see at your skin, you don't have any harsh lines, like it ends there and then there's another color. It kind of transitions from one to the other. And that's what you want to use the soft edges. So let me zoom in a little bit. So is that okay? You can see better there? Elena?
I think that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So I don't want the hard edges, and what I'm doing here is that I'm moving the pigment around with a damp brush. This is clean, this has no pigment. And I just move it.
Just so you guys know, if you need a bigger screen, you can close the chat and you'll see her a little bit bigger.
So now we're going to use green. And don't freak out, you won't be able to see it, but if you see my hand or yourself, we have a lot of green because of our paints. And you have a lot of green on your face too. So we use a tiny bit of 104, very diluted. Test it first. And we are going to do some of those lines, not these, because these are the cheeks. So these are supposed to be more red, but here, here, and a little bit here. That's way, it's more water. And also when you're painting a face, you have to decide where the light is. So if the light is coming this side, for example, this one would be lighter. If it comes from here, this side would be lighter. If it's coming the front, you have mostly the same. So this will be coming from the front, but since her head is slightly tilted to the side, you will have a tiny bit more darker values here that you have here. Like for example, here, the edge of the nose, we have a shadow there, but not much here. Just a tiny bit because of the way her face is. If we were doing a full front face, you will have the same amount of color in both sides. And here you always have a shadow because the head casts a shadow on your neck, because the light always comes from the top. besides the one that comes from the sides. And please remember that there will be always a face in your painting when you think that is ruined and it will look awful. And it's almost right before it gets better. So it's always like a worse before better phase, because all the shadows and everything won't make sense until you add the details, and then you're like, oh, okay, that's better. So don't freak out. And don't try to correct it before you go to the last steps. So we leave that. I'm going to be using the heat gun so we can do the demo faster. But when I'm working by myself, I usually prefer the pigments to dry on their own. And also sometimes when you apply water and then you use the heat gun is so powerful that it pushes the water and it can move your pigment around. So be careful, especially at the late stages when we're going to use a lot of water. So I'm going to go to the first color and add a little bit more of 105. I consider that my red for this demo. It's more like a brown, but it's the red that we have here. You can use that or 97. This is more towards purple, and this is more towards yellow, I think. So each of those will work nice. So I'm going to put some on the nose. And before you add that, something, if you have something like this pen or like this one that are white and very opaque, or if you have white wash or acrylic, you might want to paint the whole face and don't mind the whites and add them at the very end. But if you don't, I recommend that you save your whites. So for example, here, this highlight that you see here is not paint, that's the paper. I just paint around that little dot that I put there. I paint around, and the same with the eye. I paint around and leave that. So you have those highlights, same here. If you don't want to be minding that because it gets kind of complicated to be painting around it, it looks more natural, but if you have a paint, let me show you. A pen like this, I think if you are into mixed media, we all have a pen like this. It's the Uniball Signal white. And this is perfect. For tiny details, it's the same as leaving the blank with all the complications. So if you have it, you can skip the part when we are going around. If you don't have something like this, or as I mentioned, acrylic or wash in white, or even gesso, white gesso, you'll have to go.
So I think the green is freaking some people out, but
Yeah. Well, let me just do a zoom here.
Yeah, move
That's
over
green.
more, move over more. Move to the middle more. Okay, there you go. Yeah. Okay.
That is green. Can you see it? And the hair has a lot of green.
Okay. And then Oriana
And
asked,
here, see, here, all of that is green.
okay. And then Oriana asked, if I'm losing my eyes, can we add white gouache later?
Yeah,
And
no
then
problem.
the green gray color, which one is that? Which color are you using with the green?
The green is the 104.
104.
Yeah, Nirvana, that one. And that's straight from there, just green.
But you've obviously, it's very watered down.
Yes, that's what we made our first exercises like this. So you see all the control that you can have on a pigment. And I will say that my green is almost like this.
Yeah. And then Terry said her green is traveling and she's freaking out. So just blot it with some tissue.
Yes, and if it starts going like here, I let it because that will be covered with hair. If it comes like this, we just, oops, pick it up. I thought it was clean. Okay, so you know what to do. Just put water and pick it up.
Did
If
we
it
get all
leaves a hard edge, you let the water a bit and try to move the pigment, but do not scrub. That's the important part. And then pick it up.
Are you guys okay? Sorry, I stepped away for a moment and I didn't realize Hitomi also stepped away for a moment. Sorry. Tammy said, my girl looks like she's gotten into her mother's makeup and used a lot of concealer around her eyes. Tammy, it's gonna be
pictures. Taking progress pictures. It will be fun.
Picture will be funny. Honestly, once it starts blending, Julie, you guys are so funny. Now Julie's saying hers does too. It will blend and it will be wonderful. And watercolor, what you guys did with Alyssa's class is so different than doing an actual portrait. This is something that's going to be so amazing for you to learn and then get to practice. So don't panic.
And at the beginning, everybody looks weird. Just look at mine. Really take a look at it. It looks awful.
Don't panic.
Look at that. That doesn't look good, but look at that one. And nobody takes a paint and look at it like this. You all the time that you see paintings, just remember when you go to a museum or a gallery, they don't let you go near the paint. Paintings are meant to be looked at from a certain distance. So
Carrie said her girl's got green up her nose. She has blotchy skin.
Mine too.
Hold it up again, Danita. They think you've got some masterpiece going on. Look,
No.
it's in the
Look at
stage.
it.
It's a stage.
Look at the stain over there. Look at this. Look at that.
This is the process, you guys.
Exactly. And we are going to be building upon that and then more and more. Don't worry, it will get better.
Don't stop, keep going.
Yeah, and try to go, remember, try to use these values, not these. These are really hard to correct. We leave this until the very end. Now we are working with these ones. That is a very little pigment with a lot of water. Just take a look at my green here. And on camera, it looks a lot darker than it is. So you see? It's almost like pure water with a tiny bit of green. So you want to make your mixtures lots of water, very little pigment. And then you add more and more. Because if you go straight to the very heavy color since the beginning, once it will be very hard to remove or correct. And when you add more on top, it will be like this. If you add more, you barely see it. So there are many colors there, but since this is a very heavy load of pigment, you don't see it as well. Here it has a lot of layers, but they're all transparent, so you see all of them. See? So just be patient, trust the process, and use very watered down layers.
So Mindy asked, what color did you say to add to the first color for the next step?
105.
Oriana's making a mermaid, so she's good.
I want to see pictures.
Also, Danny, just so you know, it's 3:30.
Okay.
So just
So let's do it. The thing that takes a lot of time is the face. The rest of it really quick and easy. And usually people doesn't have any problem if their birds are not perfect, but if the face is not perfect, is when they freak out. But don't, especially be kind of yourself. This is the first time painting a portrait. It's not something like you just do like naturally. So here I'm adding again the same one that is 105. This time with a little bit more pigment. So it's not as watered down as the beginning, but it's the same one. And I'm going again around the eyes and here. So I'm going on top of the green. And here around the hair. The hair always leaves a little tiny bit of shadow. And then I clean my brush. And again, I move it around. And with the paper towel, I remove that. And go over again. On the nose, I will follow around the tiny highlight. And paint the rest. The nose is a little bit more red than the rest of the face. So we paint it like that, and also the lips. And the upper lip is always darker than the lower lips. So if you notice, I'm painting just the one on top and leaving the other without much paint.
Oriana asked if this is on wet or on dry.
This is on dry. We're leaving it dry and then coming back with more paint. So that will be wet on dry. And with one, sorry?
And the lips were just 105, but more pigment than.
Yes. And we add a little bit right in the bottom. That will be this over here. That is the shadow. So instead of painting the lower lip, we paint under the lower lip to give that sensation of fullness. And now that is wet, but not so wet, I'm going to add a little bit of 97 plus 105. I'm going to put it there. It's actually getting dry very quick. So I'm going to add a little bit of water there and then put the pigment. And try to move it around. Those are going to be the cheeks. Here I'm adding clean water, and I'm going to remove some of that because it's getting very dark. And I do this all the time. I add and remove and remove. That's what I always have this on my other hand. While this dries, let me tell you a little bit about the eyes over here. So when you have eyes, you have something like this. That's the fold on your upper lid. And this is where the eyelashes are. And then you have the pupil here. And then you have a highlight, usually there. And maybe another one coming here. And then here, you have a little bit of light, and this is darker. And this is also darker. And here. And then this is going to be the nose. So there's a shadow there. And this one, this shadow meets the eyebrows. And in between these two, remember the exercise when we move this towards the other? We can do that just with clean water and just do that so they meet, but this is still lighter than these two. Same here, if you add just clean water, you keep the line and then a little bit of color. And you don't have actually white on this part on your eyes. They're more like a gray, pinkish, depending of the color of your skin. It's the color of this part. So this won't be white. Forget about the white there. Actually, there's no white in your face at all. Just these tiny highlights, and these are a reflection of the light. It's not part of the skin or the eyes. And this part here will cast a shadow in this part of your eye. That is the actual eyeball. So this is always darker. And if you were going to be using, let's say, green here, you will use a very dark green there, and then using just water, you bring it down. And you give that effect of three-dimensionality. Let me just dry this so it keeps in place because it is too wet.
Can you bring that closer to the camera for them, please?
Mhm. So that will be the eyebrow. And then here you have the tear duct. So it's always like a line there. See?
Terry wants to know if she can just take yours home. And Tammy said that is amazing. It's so realistic. And Terry said, my eyes are in trouble. You know
Okay,
what?
hold on there. Do you think this is realistic? Because you're looking at it from
Realistic.
far away. Now take a look like this. It doesn't look like a real eye, and you start looking at the lines and everything. And that's what happened when you're painting and you start criticizing what you're doing, because when you get too close, you start looking at the shapes and the splotches of color instead of just looking like this at an eye. See? Because when I'm looking on camera from afar, it's not the same thing that I'm looking when I look directly to this and I get close to it.
It does look really good. Okay, so they said, what are we supposed to be doing right now? What would
Oh, I'm waiting for this to dry.
okay.
And we are going to paint the eyes. So I wanted to explain it bigger because
Yeah.
this is really small. And if I explain it here, you won't be able to see well. So the same thing that I did there, I'm going to do here.
Okay, and
And
they said, what color should we use for the eyes? Are they getting to pick whatever color, right?
yes, any color you like. Oops. We're going to mix the black for the pupil is the name, the black dot, this one. So you don't have black in this palette, but you have some very dark colors like the 107 and 106. And when you mix them, you get this. These are like a very dark purple. So here with water, they look like this, but when you just apply a tiny dot of that color, it looks almost like black. So that's what we're going to mix. That is 105 plus 107. Look.
So for those of you that are having struggles right now, go ahead and tell us what does she need to repeat for you? Otherwise, I think you can go ahead and do your eyes, Danita. I'm excited to see the two eyes on her face.
Okay, now that I have that very dark mixture.
Because right now she just looks like an alien.
Yeah, mine too, don't worry. So I'm going to use very dark mixture. I'm going to put the nostrils. And then here on the sides of the lips. And remember that we're saving our whites. So I'm not paint a circle here.
So Tammy, exactly. You don't, she's showing you, but it's really about practice. You know, she's a professional artist teaching you guys. So this does require practice. Bonnie is asking what color for the outline of the eyes. You've been using the same color, right, Danny?
Before I applied this one, I were using 105. But right now, the very dark one that I'm using is 107 plus 105.
And Jamie, when you say what color to paint the eyes, she's painted quite a bit of the eye. So tell me which part you're talking about, the outside or to paint like the actual eye color. You can obviously pick your eye color, whatever color you want to do.
Right now, we haven't painted the eye. We have paint around everything.
Okay. She's
So
asking
we
about.
just starting. Yeah, we just starting with the eyes.
Did she answer your question, Jamie, for the outside?
So I'm going to pick 104 for the eye color with a little bit of the 103. And I think this is wet. Just let me dry it because this is really wet and it's going to spread.
What color was that you just used, Danny?
The very dark one or
Yeah,
the green?
the very dark one.
That's 107 plus 105. That will make your darker one, this one here. That is like the darkest value that I can see, that I can make with this
You don't
palette.
have black. You made that color because you don't have black.
Exactly.
Okay.
And in watercolors, you rarely have black. So you usually mix colors until you go more for values than for colors. So here, the darkest value will be this one. Maybe this one, this range here. So you pick whichever you like more. And that will be your black.
Yeah, she won't be able to see if she zooms in all the way, but that's why she did the larger one over there. You can zoom in on your screen if you want. So just, most screens you can pinch and zoom out, right? Or you can do Command plus, or I'm not sure on your computer, but usually you can zoom in bigger on the image. Okay, go ahead, Danita.
Okay, so I mixed the two greens, the 103 and 104. And I put it on top. So I mentioned here, this is always darker. So I put it there. And then I take water, not too much. Just want it damped. I want to move that pigment down. Remember that it's better to go lighter, and then if it's not enough, go darker than to go dark since the beginning. So there, I may want to add a little bit more on top and just let it dry. And then I'm going to mix a brown. While that dries, we want to make a brown for all those details. Oh, before, sorry. I'm going to add a little bit more to the mouth. So I'm going to add 97 plus 105. maybe a little bit more yellow, so I take some 101. That's okay. And paint the outline, the division between the two lips. And right here on the bottom. And again, I clean my brush. And I just go over it. So the pigment spreads, but leaves me this dark line there. And then when it's like that, you can add a little bit more. Same pigment, we're going to draw the nose. I already have the two nostrils. So what I do is kind of a T there. But not T, it's more like a Y. You see that? Can go a little bit lower. Can you see that? And then remove the excess pigment, but not with water. I just do this. So my brush is damp, has a little bit of pigment, but I have more control over it. And I go around the nostrils. Around that dot. And then just pull it up. And now I take water, I clean my brush, and I soften that edges, those edges. And I always try to take advantage of the little pigment that stays there and just try, like for example here, I know that this is going to be a shadow, so I move it there. And that's yet another layer. And here that I don't want it, you can just lift it. I'm going to take some of that really dark mixture we did. And add a bit, put it there and here. And let it travel.
Can you repeat the dark mixture colors again? Hitomi's writing it down now so that if anybody doesn't know, she can answer them.
Okay, it was 107 plus 105.
Thank
That
you.
was right here. So that one, this is too close. I have it here. And I have my other mixture here. So if I need to darken this one, I just take a tiny bit, put it here, bring some of that pigment up. So I have now the base, the darker, and one in between. And I get from there. And if you notice, we use little, almost no pigment at all. It's not like you are going to finish your pants with a painting. It's mostly water. So that, I'm going to take some of that. Add it here. And with that, I'm going to paint around the eyes. This part here. And this. And I use the tip of my brush for that. If you find that your brush is not, is very thick and doesn't have a point like this, you can use a smaller one, like this one. I'm just really used to using one brush rarely change it. So that's the first one, this, and then I'm going to do the one that is the fold. And the one below. And then usually I travel back and forth from one place to the other and deposit pigment. Like for example, here I noticed that this is getting too light. So I have dark pigment in my brush. I put it there. That way you don't waste paint and you keep it consistent. So maybe a little bit more there and then on the sides. Right here. And then I'm going to add water to my brush. Then try to soften that I just applied. Not this one, because this is supposed to be a harsh edge. You want that line there, but not this one. So this one you soften. And again, the excess, I move it here and there. Here. And she's beginning to take shape. Doesn't look as weird as at the beginning. I hope yours is taking shape too.
How are you guys feeling? Are they taking shape?
Don't cry.
No. This is a process and this is learning watercoloring, and we're really lucky to have you teaching. This is great.
Oh, thank you. I tried to make it.
Terry said, oh, she's taking shape all right.
What shape? Mine looked like an angry teenager yesterday. I was practicing for the class, trying to see ways to teach you better how to do it. And before the eyebrows and the edges of the mouth, she just looked like my angry teenager when I'm telling her to do things for the house. And
First of all, how in the heck is she a teenager?
excuse me?
Time is flying by. You have a teenager.
She's going to be 15 on June.
God. She was just a little baby.
She was like Devin.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so yes, you guys, yeah, of course, Danita's looks amazing.
Oh, thanks.
Let's see, Terry said hers got in a fight, and mine, Stephanie said mine is so lopsided and yellow.
If it's too yellow, just add a little bit more red to it. Let it dry, and then add a layer like we did here. Which one was it? Here. So you let this dry, and when it's dry, you add another layer. If it's too yellow, add red like 105 or 97. Very thin layer, that means a lot of water, very little pigment on top, and let it dry. And that will change the overall color.
Great. And then let's see. Mindy said mine looks nothing like yours, but mine does look like a person, so that's great. And Terry would like to know if you do any online beginner classes. So Danita, you don't do beginner watercolor like an online, right?
Actually, I do have a beginner class
Do you?
on my website. Yes, it is called In Love with Frida. and it was inspired by Frida Kahlo, and it's more like the style that I used to do at the beginning, like the one you showed.
Yeah.
So that will be a lot easier if you're a beginner. And I teach you all the techniques one by one. We actually end up with a stack of paper, each one with a different technique that you can use for
Oh, cool.
reference. Yeah.
Wonderful. And so that's on Danita.com?
Yes.
Oh, Danita Art. Danita Art.
DanitaArt.com.
Okay. All right, Terry, you got another class to take.
Here I'm adding a little bit of 97. Another thing that you're going to notice is that you add color on one side and the other one kind of looks off. Or you think this is way too dark, but when we add the hair, since the hair is going to be dark, this is going to look lighter by association. So right now it looks really dark because next to it is white. When you stop looking at the white, like here, when you add a dark color, she's going to look a lot lighter. So that's what I tell you, to trust the process, because if you judge it just by what we're doing here, it looks weird. So we're going to leave the face alone a little bit. Let me just add a tiny bit of that dark color here on the mouth. And on the eyelids, because the one that I apply is too light. If you do it dark, it looks like it has eyelashes. And we're not going to add the eyebrows yet because the eyebrows are going to be the same color as the hair. So now we're going to do the hair. And for that, we need to mix. I'm going to put it like that so you see. We are not going to be doing details here. We're going to work on this. So we need, depending on what you want, and my hair is really dark. It's almost black, so I usually use a very dark color for the hair. But if you prefer a lighter one, you can always mix or refer to the chart and see, like if you want a blonde color, maybe you could use this one or this one, maybe
What about
that.
for Kelly, who has red hair? What color are we doing for Kelly? Because she has red hair.
Red, like Irish person, or red like more like a wine color?
No, she has like real red, like
Real
an
red.
Irish person, like an Irish person.
Yeah, that will be more like a red with yellow. So maybe this 101 plus 105, something like this. It looks a little bit different on the camera.
Yeah.
So maybe try some mixes. I recommend starting with the reds that we have here, that is 105. Maybe 97, and mix them with the yellows and see what you get.
Cool.
But we are going to mix, for this one, we're going to mix browns. And first I mix them and then I put them there. So when you are doing mixes of, let's see, when you're doing tiny mixes, this is very convenient because you just put them there and they stay there. But if you are going to use a lot of water or a big amount of paint, it's better to use this side. You just put water on it. And for the hair, I also used green. So don't get scared about that. Oops. Can you see me?
Nope, we lost you.
It happened. Just give me a second, please. Okay. Can you see me now?
Yes, all good.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. So do you see about how much water I have here? So it's like a half this thing. And to that, I'm going to be adding color. And I want something like this one. This is 104 plus 106. So that's my green. And this one here. Okay, I'm going to need more. And with that, we're going to do a wash. And I'm following the line that I draw. So even if there's some skin color there, I can see my line. Then I add a little bit more, so it's darker for this side. And I try to leave a line there. So that's my hair line that goes to one side and the other. Oops. And be careful here next to the face. There are some that went that way, so I just add water. And to that, while it's wet, we're going to be adding a little bit more pigment. So we were using the 104 green and the 105 and 6. Need to put that. And I'm going to put it there the same way that we add dry and wet here. The one you want the watercolor to do its thing. So just put it there, kind of guide it. If it's pulling because it is too wet, you just dry your brush, put it there, absorb it, dry it, absorb, dry it. I'm doing it on my sponge, but you can also do it on the paper. Just don't blot with the paper because you're going to remove the pigment as well. This way we just remove the excess water. And at this point, I start adding some other dark colors too, like 97, 106. Maybe even a little bit of 107. Here for the very dark parts. So are you following me? Questions up to here?
I think they're all getting answered.
I love this part when you just get to play and don't think so much about it. I'm just applying color in a way that looks darker here than here. So it gives a little bit of volume to the form. And here you go a little bit darker.
So could the colors look different depending on what kind of light you're sitting under too, or where you're sitting?
Yes. Let's see if I can turn this off. So I have a light right on top here. Do you see the difference?
A little bit.
It's a very tiny one. Let's see. Try with this one. Hold on. Depends in your, these lights are white.
Mhm.
It gives you a different effect than if I leave the yellow ones. So yes. And also in this one, this is the first layer. This has more pigment on it. And I use a little bit more blue in here. This looks more brown and green. This is like a really, really here, dark brown. That will be like the one that we use for the darkest part of the eye. And to that you can.
Just to let you know, Danita, you have we're at 4:15.
Oh, Okay, so let's leave that like that for now. With that mixture that we have that is very dark, we're going to paint the eyebrows. And let's make it closer. Here I can barely see the red line when I transfer my drawing. So that's my guide. If you lost it, you can always start from the where the eye drops are up. That will be the start. Again, I'm going to use a little bit of that color to go over this. And be careful with this because it's really wet. It's very easy to put your hand in there and stain everything. As you can see, what we do is basically the same over and over again. So we apply another layer and then we soften the edges. And each time we do, the face gets a little bit more three-dimensional. But we have been working in the same places over and over and over again. So we are going to leave it like that. While it dries, we're going to work in this. And for this, it's really more about choosing the colors than really the work that is going to be. It's really quick. And the eyebrows, I first leave them like that. And when they dry, I go over with dry paint and brush to make the little hairs. So for here, I'm going to mix this purple right here. This is 107 plus 97. And I'm going to paint the color. And then to that purple, I just keep adding some other, like another red. And I just paint the birds very randomly. Just try that two colors are not together, like this purple next to another that is the same. So if I just paint that one there, I might paint one here. I choose another color and add it here. And the beauty of using a palette like this that is per mix is that you don't have to think about it. Any combination that you make here and any color that you blend will look nice together. You don't have to think if it's warm or cool or anything like that. Just mix them and that's it. And to this one, you can add some dots of another color. Let it blend there. Then you pick another color, like a base color, and then to that one you start adding other ones. So you don't
Okay,
have
now
the same one.
I want to know
Sorry?
how many of you guys got the face? Like, did we do a face? Are we feeling like we got a face on there? I'm curious. I know this is more on the, I mean, this is a portrait, so it's like the real deal. So I'm curious, because, most of the people, sorry, I know we have men on here, are more mixed media artists. So this is something different and something we really wanted. The reason that we put these together for Art Venture is because we wanted people to be able to try different genres and see if there's something that, really strikes their fancy and they decide, wow, this is something I would really love to learn more of. So Julie says, I did eyes of two different people. And Susan said, I have sort of a face. And Terry said, me too. I think, let's see, Oriana said it will be. Terry said, we did a face. Sabrina did a face. Okay. Kelly, how's your face? How's Sandra? How's your face? Jamie, how's it going over there? I'm curious how everyone's doing because this is more, this is amazing to be able to learn your technique, Danita, but it's definitely on the next level. Sandra
Actually,
said they're freaking out a little over there, but they love it. Amy said hers looks horrible. Mindy said mine's okay. That's so funny.
I think that it's really hard to get it right at the first try.
Yeah.
But if you rewatch the whole thing and can pause it and then like try it on your own, it will be a lot easier.
Yes, and practice. This is not something that Danita just learned yesterday, obviously. So we hope that you guys will try it. I can tell you that the next Art Venture after Encore is going to be, this is like pre-information. So this is what I'm planning, but don't hold me to it because things change. But the plan is that we will have a beginner watercolor class and 3 watercolor classes in different levels. We'll also be offering Danita and Alyssa's classes, they can add those on for recordings. And then we will have 2 Anna classes. So it's going to be another fun-filled art venture. We will do the mixed media as well, but it's going to be more focused on art philosophy on the watercolor side. So we're really excited that, we got to test these watercolors here with Danita and Alyssa. So let me just read what they wrote here for you, Danita. Jamie didn't finish, but I'm sure she will keep practicing. Tammy said, so love this, would never have tried watercolor without Art Venture. I have a face, but wouldn't want to meet her in a dark alley. Terry said yes. And Lisa said, mine looks a little like a zombie, but I love it. I love zombies. That's so great. And then
Yeah.
Nancy said, my nostrils are a bit big, but I don't hate it. Thinking for a first time doing a portrait, I'm pretty happy. I have only done landscapes in the past. Yeah, most of us have only used watercolor. Yes, like Oriana said, my watercolor is more abstract in the abstract side of things. Most of us have used it as a background, right? So this being a portrait is definitely the next level. But I think it's so fun to practice watercolor because it does sometimes have a mind of its own. But once you learn its mind, you can really learn to control it, right, Danita? Is that kind of where you're at with it?
Right. And if you struggle with it, go back to the beginning. Practice exercises we do here and then try it again. You'll see the difference. Try it with all the colors, try to do the combination, the softening of the edges, and you'll see it will make a world of difference.
Well, yes, and that's what's cool, right? They have access to this recording so you can watch it, and doing those warm-ups that she did in the beginning, I think were great that you have that on camera or on recording and you can watch those again. Julie said that this is her second time watercoloring, and Lisa said, yes, this is lots of fun. So I'm glad. And you know, Danita did say she has a Frida class. What is it called, Danny?
In Love with Frida, and it's on my website, that is danitaart.com.
danitaart.com, and the class is In Love with Frida. That's so cool. Super fun. And then she teaches you a lot of basic techniques that will get you going. Mindy said, I still don't love watercolors, but for my second time using them, I'm not so intimidated. Awesome. That's great.
Actually, a lot of people are afraid of watercolors. They think they are like a mystery, but it's just a combination of very basic techniques. If you master those techniques in an abstract way, then you can do whatever with them. Flowers or landscapes, portraits. It's just the same thing, just a variation of the shapes that you apply, but the techniques are the same.
And don't you think it really is a lot of just repeat and practice, right?
Yes, everything.
Yeah. When did you start getting into watercolors?
When I moved back to my home and to this house, and I have everything packed. So I used to do a lot of mixed media with acrylics and paper and all that, but everything was in boxes. So the only thing that I had access to was my box of watercolors and paper. And this is something that you can take everywhere. You
That's
get
what
the
I love.
palette.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. The palettes are so compact and portable.
Water you can get from anywhere. So you can just take it outside, even if you don't have a space in your house. You can clean your kitchen table and do it there.
Yeah.
And with the other things, you kind of like need a place and equipment and lots of stuff. Yes. So I started with that and I fell in love. It's just all the possibilities and the way the watercolor at the end does its own thing. Like things like this, you won't be able to do that with acrylic. The way it moves, those combinations, how it flows to another side. I just love that. So I'm mostly done with the birds. I want to go back to the face to add the eyebrows. Let me just mix a little bit of that dark. So my brush doesn't have much water. I just get the pigment and I just draw strokes up. They kind of look like hair. And then with that dark one, I go over the eye again. And maybe here. If you want to make her look happier, you just add a tiny dot going up here and here. That changed the expression. And I'm also going to add a little bit of green here, a darker layer. That is the same thing that we did before, just another layer, so they look a little bit darker. And then again here, I feel like it's still too light, so I add more. And maybe there. So now it's time for the background. And for that, we just need a ton of water and then 99, the light blue. Just going to clean that side. And I add water. And we want to add this mixture everywhere but inside the dress. So I'm going to move this so you see the whole thing. So I have a lot of water and I think I'm going to need more water and the blue. Uh-oh. Okay. Was too much and went to the other sides. Let me just add water again. So water and the blue. We want a very light wash. This is where a big brush comes handy. So to do it faster, I'm going to take a bigger brush. Remember that when you add a wash like that, the color is really not that strong. So what I do is that I apply the layer like that and then take some pure pigment and put it there so they look like clouds.
Okay, sorry, I have to show you this. Hold
Oh.
on, Danita. You just have to look really quick. This is what Regina just sent me, her alien.
That looks exactly like mine before I added the top layers.
With just one wonky eye. Otherwise, it's perfect.
That's what I'm telling you, that it looks really weird before you add like those lines that says, okay, that's an eye. Don't worry.
Ariana said that's my twin. No. Oh
Just
my
keep
God.
working on it and you'll see. So here on the sides, you want the sides to bleed.
Oh, wait. Okay, wait, I gotta show you. But Regina will come on and show herself, but that was then, this is now. Look, she's getting it.
Oh, that's really good.
Oh my God, I can't wait till you guys come on and show your stuff. Look at that. It almost looks exactly like Danita's.
Even mine doesn't look exactly like mine. Look.
I know, I
But
have your
mine-
other one. I was gonna hold that up too.
Ah, and that's another version.
Yeah,
So
you
if
I'm
you're trying to replicate exactly what I'm doing, please hear me out.
How did I do? It's perfect.
Not even I can do the same thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so Terry said, I wish mine looked that good. She's talking about yours, Regina. You did awesome.
Yes, you did.
No, that's not mine. That's the original. But yes, I did that. I've been working really hard.
Okay, here I'm letting them bleed on purpose. You call bleeding when it moves like this. So the thing you don't want, like here, for example, you want it here. What I do is that just put water on top and move it a bit and let it go wherever it wants to go. And this outside is the blue water. I'm not using that for the dress. And here I'm adding another layer of that very dark mixture. I'm just taking the rest of the mixture that we already have and putting it there. This is darker. And for the inside, I do the same thing, but with just clean water. I clean the brush, take more some pink water, and put it there. If they bleed too much, like here, you can always take a little bit with your paper towel. Or you can let them. There are, as I said, there are some colors that love to travel and there are some colors that stay put like this. So you are going to have different results depending on the colors that you put. Here I'm going to let some of that color touch the other two. And we let it dry. And at this point, we're almost done. We just needed to dry and maybe step away a little bit from it. So you can come back and see what you can change or add. For example, I will add a little bit more color over here. That's the same 105 we have been using. Like this. And I would like a little bit darker there. I already have a dark mix. This is already wet. So if I do this now, it will come here. So be very careful with that part. Just want a darker shadow there. And you might want to add a little bit of details with your pen. If you didn't save those whites, maybe you can add them with the pen if you have one. You can also take whitewash or white acrylic paint or white gesso and just put a tiny dot in there. It changes a lot the eyes.
They all have a white pen from in their goodie bag because you
Also,
asked for it. Yeah.
that's perfect because it changes a lot with those highlights. A little bit there, maybe in the mouth. Let me just dry the face so I can do it. Because it won't work if it's wet. Some tiny dots in there. And then I try to move them with my finger so they don't look that harsh. And I don't know if you have been watching me do this, but I usually, when I have to do a detail, I put my pinky finger on dry paint, like an anchor. And then since I cannot put my whole hand, I put just the finger. And then I take my pen or the brush and make the details.
Danny, we are at 4:45. I know you're really close. Can I let people come on camera and show you what they've made?
Sure. I'm actually almost done.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'll wait.
So,
I'll wait.
yes. I just dry here. That is the only thing. I just want to show you there again with a very dark color. And I just darken this. This is dry. And if you have more time, maybe add some hairs there. Just with the tip of your brush. And I think we're done. If I had more time, I probably would let it dry and then add tiny details, but those with a very tiny brush, like around here, just try to add a little bit darker blue here, maybe a little bit here on the nose, things like that, but mostly this is all that I will do. So, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm great. Mine is perfect.
Yours is better than mine.
I
I saw
finished
it.
a long time ago. Okay, you guys, I'm gonna let some people in here. First, we have the beautiful Michelle Gardner. Hold on. Michelle, go ahead.
Okay. Before you do that, can you let me join on my other screen so I can see you?
Go ahead. Yes.
Because this is on top
Yeah, please do.
and has a thing on it. Doesn't let me see. So
Recording in progress.
okay.
You need it? Okay, Michelle, you
All
ready?
right, here we go.
Oh, let's see it. Wow.
This
You
is only
did
the second time I've ever used watercolors before in my life.
You did it. How do you feel?
It was a frustrating process, but I'm really proud of myself. You know, Danita taught us a lot of techniques, and I just tried to really apply them. I don't feel that my face is shaded properly, but I don't care because I'm proud.
Danita, I think she's muted because are you having trouble? Oh, you know what? I forgot to make her. Hold on. Can you go ahead, Danita? Can you talk now? Unmute yourself. Okay. Unmute one of them. You're light. Okay, hold on. Okay.
There she is.
Yay. Can you, there you go. Okay, now talk.
Can you listen?
Yes.
Go.
Oh,
And you
no.
hear me suddenly?
Yeah.
Oh,
Darn it. I don't know why it does that. Unmute the other one and mute your phone and unmute the iPad. Okay,
what
now
about now?
no, it's still echoing. I don't know why. Darn it.
Again?
Still echoing. We had
Okay.
it before. Okay, just turn off the other one. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, that's better. So
Okay.
everything I can show you here now.
Okay, so can you tell Michelle about her piece there?
I'm really proud of you, especially if it's the second time that you use watercolors.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You did a really good job. The only thing that I will work a little bit more is, and that's something that even I struggle with, and is that when we're beginners, we usually get scared of the darks. And the darks are the things that make all the difference. I don't know if you notice in mine before I added this last dark part, it doesn't look like it had a nose. So when I
Okay,
added,
yeah, more defined. Yeah, I see that. Yeah,
And
up,
that's
up
what I
close,
will
it
do
looks
to
like
you.
it has a nose, but I don't see it on the camera.
sorry,
So more defining. I
and
get
that's
it.
it.
Okay.
Only this line here, and that's it.
Just on the one side.
Yeah, and you will see the
Okay,
difference.
yeah. So just here.
Mhm.
Okay.
You did a great
Yeah,
job.
I mean, thank you. Thanks. I mean, I think I really need to work on the blending of the colors and the highlighting and all of that. But I had fun for it being my first time ever
I'm glad.
even doing a portrait. So
I'm impressed.
thanks.
Cool.
Bye.
Thanks,
Thank
Michelle.
you.
Thank you. All right, I'm bringing Stephanie in. Let's see. Stephanie, you are next. Michelle, I'm making you back to a attendee.
Sorry.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay, Stephanie, let me add a spotlight. There you go. Let's see it. Let's see it.
You're ready? She's very yellow and very different.
Oh,
She doesn't look like the picture at all, but this is the only second time I've watercolored ever, and I don't do portraits or drawings, so it was very different.
It's
But
really good. And it's usually like that. It goes really yellow and then goes really red and then goes really yellow. That's what we mix and do all the layers.
Yeah.
Mine look really red at the beginning. So
Yeah.
I add more yellow, kind of balance it, and
hold
you
her
keep
up
doing
more, Stephanie. Hold her up more. Your face is so cute. Look at her nose.
I liked her hair though. It's kind of funky.
It is.
But
I
other-
love-
I
I
had
used to have it like that.
I had trouble in the shirt with it not blending like a rainbow though. See it? So when I did just water, then I made a rainbow effect. So I'm not sure.
You know what? You can do instead of drawing. Let me do it here quick.
Can you turn your phone horizontal landscape, Danny? Yeah, then we can see you. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Perfect.
So instead of drawing, oops. I don't know what I'm doing. Instead, let me grab this thing because
I think it's your phone that has the bad connection.
think so.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Let's do it like this. So instead of drawing like this, imagine this is a bird
Mhm.
and trying to coloring it. You try to draw the whole thing at once. Trying to push the brush instead of using the tip to draw with it. And that way you apply more pigment and you don't have the lines on the edges.
On the edges, and then it won't bleed so
Mhm.
much.
Uh-huh.
Great tip.
Great tip. Thank you very much. It was fun.
Thanks, Stephanie. I'm glad you kept pushing through because I know there's
did.
moments when you're like, forget this garbage, but
You should have seen her face at the beginning was all red, then it went to yellow, and I'm like, what am I doing? And I actually got out this color palette for her hair because I needed to tone it down. It was really bad. So it's come a long way.
this is how the learning process goes. I love it. Great
It is.
job.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
You too.
It's a learning process. You guys did awesome. Okay, Mindy, you're up.
If
Ready?
you could see mine at the beginning,
Yeah.
well,
Hello.
Okay. Hi, Mindy.
ooh,
I could not figure out how to get the hair dark. So
Well,
But-
now that it's dry, you can probably add more color, right, Danny?
yeah,
yes. And you can just look at your palette. you see the ones that are dark and mix them all together. Like
Okay.
the dark blue and the dark green and the dark, this one, the first one.
So 107, like 104 and 103
No, and 97.
and 97.
Yeah. You
So
mix them all
97.
together. And since they're the darker values, they are going to give you the darker colors.
And a lot of my birds look like starfish.
No, I think they look really good. But hold your face up because it's kind of dark. I want to see the eyes. You did so good.
You did.
The
I'm
eyebrows
amazed
could use
you.
work.
I can't believe that is like your first or second time.
It's my first portrait, but second time with watercolors. I don't think I have the patience for watercolors. I paint furniture and I just put it on and then that's it. So the detail work is hard.
Well, maybe you'll get into it and find your zen.
Yep. But I did enjoy the class and I'm glad I did it. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Mindy. Anita, I love it. I love it. She did so good. Okay. All right, Sabrina, come on in. Turn your camera on.
Oops. Okay, there we are. Because I keep turning it off and on. Okay.
Okay. How do you know? I feel so proud. Like, I don't know. You all keep complaining that it looks like aliens and not ugly, and I'm looking at them, and you're really amazing.
Thank you. This is my very first time doing a portrait. I do paint. I do flowers, and I do very simple things, crazy animal type things. Just I teach elementary school. And so I do that, but this is and I always think that my people look like alien, like there's something wrong. I'm so excited that I got a face to look like an actual face. So I can't wait to practice more, but this was fun. This was a lot of learning and things that I had no idea. So thank you so much for the education behind it as well, because I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. And it just, it's coming together. So I'm very excited. Thank you.
I love it. Wait,
Oh,
hold
you're
on.
welcome.
I'm gonna, hold on, wait. I want you to get that face up there so we can really
hold on.
see it. Yeah. Look at, that looks awesome, Sabrina. And your birdies came out so good. Look at that. Good job. Go, girl.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
I like it. You did great. Okay.
I hate it when teachers just pretend you know everything like they do and just teach you what they do without anything before.
Yeah.
It's just possible to do that.
No, the warm up was so great. Lisa, you're ready. Go ahead and turn your camera on. Lisa Phillips, there you are. Okay, let's see it.
I used a light box. I have an old light box and I used it, but I got my colors so wrong and so dark, and I was behind, so I just put some brown on the hair. But I'm going to go back and watch the video again and work on the hair.
That's so good. What did you use? I'm sorry, I missed that.
It's a light box right here.
So she was
for tracing it.
Yeah.
Well, I kept it taped onto the light box and just painted on the light box. And rather than drawing lines, I just followed the lines on what was reflecting through from the printout we did.
Oh,
I kind of cheated. But
no, I like
That's a very good idea, actually, right?
So,
Because once you start covering the lines, you won't be able to see them well.
But this is my second time ever painting watercolor.
Whoa. Okay. Whoa, you guys, all of you.
So anyway, finish your shirt. I'm just trying to get the blue in the background.
Beautiful.
Mad, she's dirty or something. She's been out gardening. She's got some bad.
Well, can she blend that out a little more, Danita? She can still go in and blend, move those colors a little bit, right?
I've seen flesh color crayons. I think I'm gonna give me a pack of those.
Ah, that's what I'm trying to recognize. I'm like, what color?
She's just, maybe she's
Ah,
bruised. I don't
because
know.
it looks more like flesh.
But it was
No,
just.
what I will do is just get a little bit darker on the hair.
So I'm
Instead
going,
of trying to lighten up the face, go darker on the face.
yes, but I was behind, so I just put something on the hair.
Well, very cool. Thank you,
Great.
Lisa.
Huh.
Thank you.
Look,
How fun. Okay, let's see. Next is Regina. Where are you, Regina? Make co-host, make co-host. Okay, go ahead, Regina. Make attendee. Oh, here she is. Let's see it.
Are you ready?
Yes.
I'm not so much an alien anymore.
it doesn't at all.
She's a real girl.
She's a girl. Look at her.
I love it.
Look at him. All the birds. Yeah, me too.
She's got Brooke Shields eyebrows, though.
They're
I love them.
They're a little thick, and I do have to work on the nose thing. But boy, I didn't think this would come
And I
out.
like how
What were you saying, Danita?
soft the blending is.
Yeah.
Did you?
I think it looks good.
Thank you so much. I didn't think I'd make it through this. It's a long day. I thought, oh
Did
my
you
God,
suffer for the class?
I'm so untalented. I'm like, maybe I'll stick to flowers. This was
Just
really.
look at what you did.
I can't believe it. Thank you so much.
You know, Regina, if you practice a little bit, just like you did with the flowers, you'll just keep getting better.
Right.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I can't even believe it came out from what it started. Like adding green. Like, what are you, crazy? You're making them aliens. Like, yeah.
See, I told you it wouldn't be noticeable at the end.
You did.
Love it.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you. Thanks, Regina.
Thank you.
Super fun. Okay, Nancy, you are up. Okay, Nancy, go ahead and turn your camera on.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
I'm not finished right now, and I don't know why I didn't find the bathroom, so I made my own drawing inspired by yours. But that's it for now.
I love it.
Thank you. I never made aquarelle before. Only the first class at the beginning of the month, and I draw a face 25 years ago, but I never draw since this time.
I love it.
But me too. And I
can't
love
you
soft
finish.
it is. Yeah.
Sorry?
How soft it is. Like mine looks a lot like harsh, a lot of dark contrast, and you look soft but all over. Like for some people I would recommend to add a lot of dark values just to make the contrast, but with yours I like it just like it is.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
See you
You
later.
too.
Very cool. And you guys, I did go ahead and do a post in the group, in the Facebook group. So please add pictures of your creations. And for those of you that didn't see, I did open up Encore. So you can sign up for additional classes, or you can contact me to upgrade to the next level like some of you did. And Katya, go ahead and turn your camera on. Danita, Katya is here. She's one of your fellow teachers. She's teaching tomorrow. Okay, let's see.
And me, I mean, and watercoloring is not for me, but
That's not true.
I love it.
Uh-huh.
What do you mean it's not for you?
this was a challenge. So I was on the stage in the beginning. I was almost like giving up because, oh, I'm not the perfection one. I'm not, I'm the messy one. So, but thank you so much. I'm very happy because this is like mindfulness for me.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, Katia, because like you're teaching mixed media tomorrow and it's so different than the watercolor. It's just the other end of the spectrum, right?
Yeah. And I'm messy. I'm not for perfection and doing like exactly lines like that. The only thing that's same, it's layering. Add a new layer and a new layer. So I was not giving up, but I'm happy. And this is mindfulness for me. So thank you so much.
Love it.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Katia. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Okay. You guys, whoever's in Katia's class, I'm excited for her class tomorrow. Oriana, you are up.
Hey.
Hi.
Hola, Anita. Hi, everyone. Well, mine is a work in progress, I have to say. Let me move this thing. Okay. It's a work in progress, you know? I have my nose she was supposed to look to the side, but somehow the nose went to the side and the eyes went to the front. So, but I had so much fun. I think I had some of the shadows right. But definitely I need to practice a lot. But it was a great class. Thank you, Danita. It was a lot of fun and I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
No, but you know what, Ariana? I think turn it back. What you did really good is the blending, right? She got the blending down. All the colors look so blended well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I didn't finish. I spent a lot of time blending.
And if you are not using a hair dryer, it takes a lot of time.
Yes, and of course, as you can see, I drew it. I didn't trace it. I draw it free-handed. So that's the reason the nose is like this.
Oh, okay. That's even better. When you do it, you can try it and
Thank you.
I love it.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Love it. Okay, Bonnie, you are up. Let's see. Bonnie, turn your camera on.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Never did this before, so can you see it? My nose and mouth are kind of mushed. So I have to really figure out how to draw a mouth and a nose, and then I guess we're supposed to on the body. We're supposed to blend. It started when we did the water. It just all started blending, right? The birds started blending. I'm making a mess.
Yeah. Mine
I've
too.
never done this before, so worked very hard to. Okay. Then I was trying to clean it up because I didn't think it was supposed to do that, but
they're supposed to do that. But if you don't want to, just leave them as they are. But I love that how the colors like get together.
yeah. So what can I do to the nose to make it look more like when I started putting the black blobs, the little black spots, that's when it started bleeding and looking like a big mess.
Can you move it a little bit closer?
Can you see it there?
Yeah. So what I will do is instead of working more on this side of the nose, I will work more in this because this look a lot darker than this. So your attention goes to this part.
So this side is too dark?
Yeah.
Or it should be darker?
Like, let me grab something pointy. So this part here, if you see, you have a dark line, and then the rest is very light.
Okay.
So if you get all that darker, it will blend better with the rest.
Okay, more shadow on that side?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All
Yes.
right.
I'm
Well,
also a little bit here.
I can't see. Can we move it up a little bit?
Oh, sorry. This.
Where?
Yeah. A little bit darker too.
Okay, the bottom of the hair. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. This is great.
Great job.
Something totally different.
Fun to try, right? Something.
Yeah, something on mixed media, and this is all new for me.
No, it's cool that everyone got to just take a taste of it and decide if this is what they enjoy, right? Thanks, Bonnie.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Jamie, I'm dying to see what she did because she was like not. Okay, camera, turn your camera on. Jamie.
Sorry,
Okay.
I was trying. It wasn't working at the time, but okay. So we're actually going to switch cameras so that you can see everybody's.
So she's with all the volunteers. Whose is this?
This is Jamie.
Oh, what did you not like?
But I have purple hair.
Perfect.
I had trouble on the face, so I stopped. Okay, who's next? This is Callie.
Kelly, red hair. That red hair came out awesome.
Isn't that pretty?
Yeah, I mean, the girl kind of looks like you, Kel.
It does, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Next. This is Gloria.
Ooh.
Her face melted, she says.
Her face melted.
I think she looks good.
I think it looks great. Her eyes look really good.
First time at portraits for Gloria. Okay. Next.
I know. They all look so good.
Sandra did Frida.
Sandra.
Look at that. Isn't that bitchin'? Look at it. She even did the outside and everything.
I love that she added all that pen work.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Sorry, because of the lighting here. I don't know. Here we go. There we go. Hey, Terry.
I'm sorry.
You gotta mute that, girl.
Okay, where's Terry's?
She's coming. She's coming. I was still painting.
Okay, well, we need to see.
Hers looks like
Wow. It totally looks like Becca.
Right?
Look at those eyes. Wow.
Fabulous. So she went into really big detail here. Look at that.
It looks amazing. Aw.
Completely Becca, yes. And
Yeah.
she's working on the outside. We're getting,
Yeah.
we're finishing totally.
Okay,
is
can you
Becca,
just
that's
show
Frida.
them, look at your space. You guys are having too much fun. They have a TV in there. This is where your kits are being made. And it was a lot fuller before. And there's Sandra. And so our volunteers who are already in a bubble together because they've been kitting and shipping are gathering for the classes. And this is so cool, you guys. I love it. Thank you so much. Love it. Love it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We love you guys.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, how fun. That was awesome. They work so hard over there. So
How do I stop video?
I could do it for you. Let's see. There you go. All right. Next is Terry. Terry Franklin. Let's see. Go ahead and turn your camera on, Terry.
Hello, ladies.
Hi.
I really want to see this.
Yes, we do. Don't even. Yes, we do.
Wait. Okay, so I'm gonna start way back. And then I'll come forward.
Okay. Yeah, come here.
Come on.
No.
What are you
No,
talking?
she looks horrible, seriously.
She doesn't.
Look, her nose looks like saggy boobs.
Hey, what do you have against?
And
saggy
she was
boobs?
born with a really weird eye. So don't make fun of her. She couldn't help it.
God.
But
It's
look at the skin.
Stop it. Oh, come on. I think it looks good.
Honestly, this is not my first face. I have drawn some faces, but with acrylics, and in a more mixed media way, which I'm very comfortable with. But I've always loved watercolor, but I just can't do it. But I keep thinking I can.
You can.
Oh my God, I can't even draw a butterfly, and I love butterflies. I'm a mess. But anyway, Danita, it was a great class, and knowing me, I'll be signing up for your Frida Kahlo class.
Oh, thank you.
You're so funny. You know what, Terry? This is called learning.
Yes, it is. That's why I can laugh at myself. I don't think I know it all. So I certainly don't know watercolor portraiture.
Oh my God. But fun to try, right? I mean,
oh, I love trying. I just do. So
I think it's wonderful.
Stick but you are such a great teacher, Danita. Thank you so much.
You. Thank you.
You ladies have a good evening. All right.
Fun. See you tomorrow.
Yes, you will.
Okay, bye. Super fun. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, Danny and Perrin. Okay, hold on. This is the husband and wife super duo. Okay. Go ahead and wait. Okay. Go ahead and turn on your camera. All right.
Hello.
Hi.
So, let's see.
Wow.
So, first portrait, second time with watercolors, so God help us all. She's having some issues, and I still have to finish her background, but she's on her way.
I love it. And actually, I love that the eyes are a little bit closer. She looks more realistic. I tend to put the eyes like one here and the other there.
Yeah, I was playing with it a little bit just to play, just cause. I had to retrace it twice because the red wasn't working and I couldn't see it because I'm half blind. So, but it worked great. And then here's Perrin's.
Perrin, let's see it closer. Here he comes. Here he comes.
No, it's better from afar.
Oh, wow.
And same thing, second water class, first portrait, or watercolor class, first portrait.
Whoa.
How did you feel about it? It's something to practice and learn, right?
Indeed. We've done acrylics before, we do vinyl, we do all sorts of things, but you have to try something new, and techniques can be transferred from one genre to the other. So I'm happy to do this. It was a great class.
Oh, thank you. You did a great job too. I'm actually amazed by all of you. Like, you telling me that it's the first or second time that you try it. It's amazing.
It's great. Awesome. Thanks, you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Yeah, everyone just did so great. That was super fun. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. For whoever's still here, I did go ahead and add the encore. So what I would love is if you guys would share pictures of what you've done, tell a story about the event, tag all the teachers, tag all the, you get an entry for every tag, every relevant tag. Like, don't tag like Yahoo or something. Tag the teachers and the sponsors and Prima and Charity Wings, and you'll get entered to win. The grand prize is a buddy pass. So if you're VIP, I will be giving one of your friends, whoever you want, all the same classes as you. If you've got 3 classes, they get 3 classes. I think I put 4 goodie mystery boxes up for grabs too. So please post about your classes, tag Danita, put pictures up in the group so that we can see and show people what we all did. But this is not beginner stuff. Portraits they're a real something you have to practice. Danita is an artist for life. So a living artist for a living. I don't know what I was just trying to. So, it's so great we get to learn from you. That the beginning part, just the exercise was so good. The warm up.
That's the basics. If you get that, you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, rewatch the basic part in the beginning. I feel like that was something to really practice and get the muscle memory going, right? With how the water works and how much water on your brush and all of that. So let's see, they're saying, thank you. Great class. Thanks, Danita. Thanks, ladies. Thank you, Danita. Enjoyed your class. Amazing paintings by everyone. Thank you, Danita. The warm-up was outstanding. Yes, it was, definitely. That
It's
was like
all things that I wish that somebody has taught me when I was beginning. Because it's like a step ahead from when you just try to put the paint on the paper by your own.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference to know, like, you brush it off in a way that you're getting the pointy brush. You know, it may seem natural to some people, but some people don't have that. It's not in their cost. Can't think of words right now. class 10. Woo! Oh, mine, sure. No, I didn't do it. You guys, I didn't do it. I've been doing lunch and stuff. No, I didn't do it. I know. I was pretending. But here's Danita's beautiful piece that I'm going to claim as my own. I'm sorry. Yeah. But look at how beautiful this is that Danita made.
That's the original one.
I struggle with watercolors. I love it so much. And I love it for the properties of it as a background, and you know, all that. And I like it when the water pulls just right. So you get all that nice shading and stuff. But man, I struggle with watercoloring. So I didn't do it. I'll go back and I need to do the warm up. Like, I need to sit and do the warm up. That's what I want to practice before I go on to making an alien. Oh, Julie, you can still show yours just because you don't have sound. Here, let me get you on camera. Let's see it. Hold on. Bring you on camera. Julie doesn't have sound, but we don't care. You can still show us. Go ahead and turn on your camera, Julie. Katya said, thank you so much for this class. I can't wait for your class, Katya. It's going to be fun. Okay, Julie, go ahead and turn your camera on. But anyway, so we have the contest going, and so post on your page about the event. Encore is open. We are already getting signups. I'm upgrading people. And okay, Julie, let's see it. Wow. That came out awesome.
Yeah, you're doing really good job.
It's something that takes practice, but your shading is nice. Yeah.
Everything is in the right place.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
It's the shading and the blending, right? That just, it's a lot of work, but it looks really good.
It's just the layers. Like it looks like that at some point, and they add another one and totally transforms it.
Yeah, beautiful. Great job, Julie. Keep practicing. Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Okay. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Julie. Yeah, I mean, you know what? It's a learning process, and I love that everyone really got in there and did it. So I want to tell you, I ran these numbers. If you upgrade from the 6 to 12 package, like for those people that bought 6 and want to go to VIP, they get 6 more classes for 280. I think, God, now I don't know if I wrote these numbers down right. 250 or 280. I can't read my handwriting. But anyway, I think it comes down to $46 a class, which is less than the price of the kit. Like, the kits are over $50 each. So, and you still get the bonus goodies in the swag bag. So you'll get more swag. Anyway, thank you, Danita. And you can take Danita's class again. I can't wait. And next time, Danita, they'll have practiced, and they'll come and they'll just show you all their amazing creations.
I'm really proud of you. Really, really proud. I feel so good to see the results. I
Yeah.
wish I had started like you did.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, having the warm up was so important. So we love it. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. We will see those of you tomorrow that are around. Sabrina said you were great. Danita, thank you.
Thank you. And please post your results. I'd like to see them. And I'm
Yes.
going to send a picture of this to Elena so you can see it better.
And the other one, Danita, I can't find it. So can you send me? Can you send me that other one too?
Yeah, I sent it in an email and I will resend it. And
Yeah,
this
resend
one. And it's not a picture, it's a scan. So you can see it better and make it larger.
Okay, I don't know. I didn't see it. So I will link it into Danita's classroom for you guys. Sorry. It will be there. Okay. Thanks, you guys. Thanks, Danny.
Bye. Thank you all.
Go deal with your teenager. I can't believe she's 15. I can't believe it. Okay. Bye. Bye.